Tamika, a new me, 1109. I have a couple of things on my mind. I've actually been pondering something for about a month now. Just sort of going back and forth, thinking about it, massaging a few ideas in my mind, and I think that I'm finally ready to talk about it. And I think what's prompting this is a couple different things. Prompting me to sort of maybe be willing to accept it today. And that's one, I saw Casey Quinn's video this morning. So her video, I think it's day 5 of her having a complete unfill, and she is tracking carbs. And so at the conclusion of her video, she shared what she ate. And when I was looking at the things that she was eating, I was like, okay. And then at some point, I thought, okay, so she does that too. And the does that is, I noticed that some people eat multiple times throughout the day, small things throughout the day. Now, you know, if you've been on this journey with me for any amount of time, you'll know that one of the things that my dietitian and surgeon said, and you know what they taught us throughout the whole bariatric program, the months of that and the various classes, was to eat 3 meals a day and no snacking, no grazing. And so when I had LapBand surgery, up until now, I've been eating 3 meals a day. And I'm not going to say that I never snack. There are times when maybe I have something here and there, but I didn't necessarily adapt the habit. Now then there's another person, Deb, who she just recently was banded, and I know that she's encouraged to eat 6 small meals a day by her folks, her bariatric folks. And so she's eating 6 small meals a day. I've also sort of watched Wendy's eating, and I think Becca a little bit. I'm not so sure if Becca does this, but I do know that people who tend to work out a lot, so you know, your runners and folks who go to the gym for a couple hours, I believe that the trend is I see them eating something before they go to the gym, and I see them eating some protein when they're done, which makes perfect sense, right? And so here I am. So Casey's video this morning was sort of confirmation in my mind. And then I set myself down for breakfast. And it's so funny because the bestie and I, Grow and Be Gone, we sort of chuckled because at some point we were talking and she's like, okay, it's time for me to go. You know, what is that thing that you say you do? And I'm like, force feed. And she's like, yeah, it's time for me to go force feed myself because I'm not hungry. And so that's what I'll say. It's time for me to force feed myself because I'm not hungry. And you all probably also know that I don't feel hunger that much. And so, except when I have a carb trigger, and I'll talk about that next. But, so I force feed myself. And again, I have this whole, I'm supposed to eat 3 times a day. And so what happens is this. If I go past my sort of times that I've established for myself for breakfast, which is typically based on trends, which is typically between 10-ish and 11-ish in the morning, because I have to push back. My band's tight in the morning, right? So the push back, and so I have my breakfast then, and then I have my lunch and dinner. Everything's pushed back. I talked about this a couple videos ago. If I miss that time frame, in my mind, I've missed breakfast. And now I'm not saying that this makes sense. I'm just sharing, I'm being transparent here, and I'm sharing what happens in my mind. Because I believe I was conditioned, eat 3 meals a day, no snacking, no grazing. Now I have, over the summer, I have allowed myself, and I have gotten to the point where I'm okay with knowing that sometimes I might not eat dinner until 10 or 11 o'clock, and that's okay. Sometimes, because sometimes it's just too late, and by the time I try to lay down, my food is sort of feeling like it's sitting in my esophagus, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, why did I just eat that late? But what's happening? What's happening is I'm trying to juggle so many different things all at once. And I know that a couple of you newbies might be able to relate to this. You're trying to get, stay within your calories, right? If you're like me, you're trying to eat your minimum protein requirements for the day. You're trying to get in your water, which is hard for me because when I drink water, when I drink liquids, I get full. And so that messes with, the amount of food that I'm able to eat and when I'm able to eat and all of that. And so you're juggling a couple of different concepts and you're trying to do them all and be able to, in the end, win. And so, Casey, confirmation number 1. Number 2, I force-fed myself breakfast. And then I just sat down for lunch. And I made myself like a taco salad sort of concept. I had some meat, some taco meat, and I used ground beef. Usually I use ground turkey, and that might have been part of my issue. But so I had my ground beef, and I had some spinach, and I had a few cherry tomatoes, orange cherry tomatoes, so delicious. I got them at the farmer's market last week. So good. And I had maybe a couple teaspoons of some salsa. Habanero chili salsa from Trader Joe's. I love it. And I put a Baby Bell Bon Bell on top. And so I'm like, okay, it's time for me to eat my lunch. Went outside in the front, sitting out there. And I was like a couple bites in, I'm full. I'm just like, I can't do this. It's just, I'm going to be miserable if I try to force feed myself my second meal. And so it clicked in my head, perhaps this is enough for now. And perhaps I might need to eat in a couple hours. And perhaps I might need to eat again in a couple of hours. So what I've been pondering for the last month or so is whether or not I should test out eating more than 3 meals a day. And not to the point where I'm snacking and grazing, because I get that concept. You don't want to get into the habit of, I totally understand mindless eating. And when I catch myself doing that, when I'm eating just because, no real reason, no hunger, not time for me to eat, I consider that mindless. That's mindless eating, right? And so usually that's connected with some emotional type stuff or just boredom. And so I really find myself monitoring that. So I'm not sending the message that I want to be a snacker. And I'm not sending the message that I want to be a mindless eater. But I am saying perhaps today is July 27th. August 11th, I'll be 1 year living in maintenance. And I say all the time, this is not, one set, there's not one way to win as far as weight loss surgery is concerned. I don't believe we all do it the same way. I don't believe our surgeons and our bariatric professionals teach us all to do it the same way. And I believe that the surgeon that's out there saying eat 6 meals a day, 6 small meals a day so you can keep your metabolism going and you're not going to be able to eat that much anyway. So do that. I believe he believes that his way is right. In addition to, I believe that the surgeon that says eat only 3 meals a day believes that his way is right too. So I don't believe that there's a right or a wrong way to do this, but I believe that we should be champions and try to figure out what's our way. And sometimes things only work for us in a season, and then it's time to either revert back to doing it the way we were doing it or move on to a different sort of way. So I'm at the place where I want to allow myself and be okay with eating, and of course I say eat until you've had enough, not until you're full and you're miserable, and not until your plate is empty, even if you did measure it out, but eat until you've had enough. So I want to be able to eat until I've had enough, and then you know, still keeping in mind what my protein requirements are. And if it means that a couple hours later, if I feel like, maybe that's digested and maybe it might be time for a little bit more, I want to be okay and comfortable with doing that. So I am going to try that out, and I'll let you know how it works.